Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanya for those of you that are new here, and I am a watercolor and acrylic artist. Today I'm going to be doing a folk art inspired landscape for you. I've been really into these landscapes lately. So I kind of drew out a little bit of what I had in my mind of some pine trees coming in on a little bit of an angle here, and then some hills in the background with some trees, and then maybe a big moon, and then I'm going to add in some little houses and flowers. When I'm done with the actual painting, I'm going to be starting to put on my little collage watercolor pieces. All right, so I have, to get started, my watercolors. They're my Winsor Newton watercolors, and I'll let you know what color I'm using as I'm going along. And I also have my Grumbacher and my Princeton Velvet Touch brushes. I'll let you know what size I'm using as I'm going along here too. All right, so I think I'm going to start with my bottom, and I think I want this to be like a darker green. So I'm going to go ahead and get this nice and wet right here on the bottom. So it'll be like the grass area. And I'm probably going to be adding in a lot of flowers down here. So I'm not sure how much of this is going to be showing. I'm going to go around my trees. So this is the wet on wet technique. You can also do the wet on dry, which means you just didn't wet your paper first. So it's two different techniques. I'm going to go ahead and get my Hooker's Green. Here, I'll let you see what I'm doing as I'm going along. I've got my palette here. So I've got my Hooker's Green. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of my indigo to this. Or no, this is my Prussian blue. So I'm going to get kind of a, almost like a hunter's green there. Very dark green. All right, I'm going to start adding it in under the trees. And I know I want the bottom of my trees to be round because they are little pine trees. So I'm just dabbing on the watercolor. All right, I'm going to go in and dab in a little bit more of my blue under the trees, because I know that my moon is going to be up on top shining this way, so behind my trees it's going to cast a shadow. There we go. And then you could just dot it in if you want to. I love texture in my paintings, so I'm normally dabbing a lot. If you don't like texture in your paintings and you like things to be a little bit smoother, then just go ahead and do just normal strokes. All right, I think I'm going to leave it like that and see how it dries. I'm not going to do my trees yet because this is wet down here. I'm going to go onto this hill. And I know I'm going to be adding in some houses. Now, if I was going to be painting on my houses, I would definitely go around it. But I have done some really cute little collage watercolors of houses, and I think I'm just going to place them on top of here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to get my hill, my first hill, nice and wet here. I'm going to go around my pine trees. My water is a little tinted green right now, which is actually probably pretty good for you because then you can see exactly where my water is going to be. I'm going to pick up my yellow ochre and just make a little puddle right there. Start bringing it in. Go around my tree. That's the trunk of the tree right there. So I want to go around that. Bring it down. And then I think I want to do more of a kind of the color that we just did there. So I'm going to bring in that color again. And that was the mixture of my blue and my green. And when it hits the yellow, it will become a little bit more limey because green and yellow make lime. I'm going to go around all the tops of the pine trees here. Let's add Let's add a little of the indigo right in here. Just a little bit. So as it dries, it'll look nice and textured. Bring it up just a little bit. All right, let's see how that dries. All right, I'm going to skip this hill and I'm going to go on to the third. So again, I'm going to get it all nice and wet. I'm going to go around the trunks of my trees because I have some trees here. I'm not sure you can see that, but I have some trees here. The trunks are coming down. But you know what? Let's go ahead and add a little bit of yellow because the moon is going to be nice and bright. This time I'm going to pick up my cad yellow. And I'm going to mix my cad yellow. Here, I'll show you. I'm mixing my cad yellow with a little of my ochre yellow right here. Now that I added the cad yellow into the yellow ochre, it's a little bit brighter. And that's what I was hoping to achieve because I want it to look more like a reflection from the moon. Okay, wash off your brush. And then the bottom of my hill, I think I want it to be a little bit more of an orange. So I'm going to pick up my cad orange and add a little cad orange in there. And then I went around this tree because I've got the top of the tree on this hill. All right. I think I want to make it a little bit deeper, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a little of my cad red. It's a cad red pale, which is a little bit orangier. I'm going to drop it in right in there. It's starting to dry beautifully down here. That's wonderful. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dry this really quick because there's still a little wet in all the areas, so I want to start going in between them. So I'm going to dry this really quick. All right, so I'm going to pick up my, here, let's move down to our size 6. So I'm using my Grumbacher size 6, and I want my trees to be pretty dark. I want them to be a little bit darker towards the bottom again, and maybe just a little bit of hints of the light hitting the trees here on the tops. Another thing I do when I have my collages, I'll just show you the top of this house, is when I cut out my collages, I leave a little bit of a white border just so it pops off my painting nicely. So I might go ahead and leave a little bit of a white border on these trees. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll see how it looks. So I'm just pulling in my sap green right here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of my Hooker's green right here. Let them blend a little bit because I do want to get a little of each mixed together. All right. I'm going to wash off my brush. Now this one I am not going to do wet on wet because I do want, well, I actually could do wet on wet. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a border though. So let's see if we can do this. So I'm just going to wet it on the tree, trying to leave a little border. Now, if you think that this part is just going to be a little bit too hard, then don't leave a white border, or just do the wet on dry technique. Might be a little bit easier. All right, let's go ahead and add in our green. Let it do its thing. If you see you left a little too much of a white border, go ahead and close it up a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to tell when it's just water. But once you start putting the paint on, you'll see if that white border needs to be closed up a little bit. Or if you don't like that look, don't do a white border at all. All right, and here again, I'm dabbing in my paint. So I hope you can see this, but it's the two different greens, my sap green, my Hooker's green. I'm going to let them blend. I'm leaving a little bit of white space in there as well. I'm going to add a little bit more drama on these, and I'm going to add a little bit of my indigo in here as well, just on the bottom. Let that dry nicely. Look how pretty that is. All right. I'm going to move over to this tree now because I want this one to dry a little bit before I go on to this one. I don't want them to hit each other just yet. So I'm going to go ahead, add my water, my sap green. I'm going to go around. Dab that on. And down here is going to be the hooker's green again. Another reason I leave the white border on my actual painting is because when I go ahead and I start popping in my collage pieces that I've left a white border, it just kind of flows with the painting a little bit better. This is a little too dark over here. I'm looking at it. I'm going to pick up a little bit and just dab it off on my brush, on my paper towel, I mean. There. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add the blue on this side as well. Let's just do it more towards the bottom right there. All right, so I am going to skip this tree and I'm going to go on to this one. Okay, so I just went ahead and finished those trees, and I think I want to deepen up down here with my indigo again, just under these trees a little bit. I did not wet my paper first. All right, and I'm just going to take some water and just kind of bleed that down a little bit onto the dry paper. So I'm just creating a little bit more depth there. And I think as I'm letting those dry, I'm going to go ahead and fix up this hill a little bit. I want it a little bit deeper of that orange. So again, this is my Cad Red Pal. It's a little bit more orangey. I'm just going in with my dry paper, I'm just going around. Now before that dries completely, I want to bring it up a little bit so I don't get that hard edge. So I'm just dabbing water. Trying to kind of create that texture again. I also think I want to add a little bit more of my Cad yellow on here. So I'm going to go back to my size 10. I'm going to grab my, my yellow ochre, not my Cad, my yellow ochre. And here too, I'm just going to add a little bit right in there. Kind of the same thing I just did with my orange. And just blend it down, just with some water. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go carefully around. I'm going to wet my page, but I'm going to go carefully around my trees. So I've got all these trunks coming up with the trees and then the moon. And then I think I also want to leave a little bit of a white space between the hills. I'm not 100% sure about that yet, so we'll see how that looks. And I'm just kind of going back and forth. You can go horizontally, you know, like this, or you can go up and down vertically. I'm just kind of going in a zigzag motion. Go around my tree. I still want to leave some texture in here. My paintings are very textured. So I just want to leave all that texture in there right now. And I put water on this side too. And I'm going to take my bigger brush again and start dabbing in some of my indigo again. I want it a little bit deeper on this side of the painting. Go right up to my hill. Okay, that's coming along pretty good. So my sky is wet. This hill has dried, and so has my orange here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this hill. And I'm thinking I want to do this hill, what color? I don't know, for some reason, kind of a red color is just speaking to me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this hill nice and wet. I'm gonna go right up, let my hills just kind of hit each other there. I won't leave a little of the white there. All right, looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna tone it down with a little bit of my blue. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that indigo again towards the bottom here. And blue and red make purple, so I will start seeing a little bit of a violet color in here, which is totally fine. I just want to tone down this hill as well. Dab it up. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of the red right on the top of the hill here. I just want a little bit more dramatic feel between the hills. And right now the orange and the red are just mixing in too much. So I'm just picking it up, putting it on my paper towel. There, now you can see the two hills. Let's do it on this side. And let's see. We can go ahead and start doing our trees too. Or actually, let's do our moon really quick. All right. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to get it wet. And I think I'm going to choose my, what color do I want to do? Let's do our Naples yellow first. Just drop in a little bit of my Naples yellow. I'm going to leave a little bit, since the moon is textured and all sandy and with stones up there, I'm going to leave a little bit of the white showing. I'm going to come in with a little bit of my yellow ochre, more on the sides. Let that bleed in. I'll go around my tree, since the tree is in front of the moon. All right, I'm going to dab a little bit of it off onto my paper towel. Just soften it a little bit. Bring it in a little. All right, let's see how that dries. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do my trees. Now my trees, I am gonna leave a white border, or I'm gonna try to. So I am going to just pencil in where maybe I want a branch or two showing. Let's see. So I'm going to go around these little branches. Sometimes I paint my trunk and my branches brown, sometimes blue. Sometimes I just leave them the white of the paper. Just depends on what I'm feeling. All right, and then the rest of that I'm just going to dab. And then I'm going to take some of it off, just a little too dark. And then I'm just going to drop in a little bit down here. And up a little bit. If you see it's too dark and it's not agreeing with you, just take a little bit of it off. And let's go ahead and do this one too. Maybe I'll put a little bit more blue in this one, so it's a little bit of a deeper purple. So all I did was I took this mixture and I added a little bit of my indigo. I'm going to try and go around some of these branches again. Okay, so I went ahead and finished my trees, and I'm going to probably add in a little bit more depth towards the bottom of the trees in a little bit, but right now I'm going to let them dry, and I'm going to work on this hill again. I like the way it dried. It's kind of this pinky purple, but I think I really want to deepen up this edge here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of my indigo, and let's see if I can add it. I think I'm going to add in my purple lake. All right, just deepen it up a little bit. Part of my hill is still wet. I can see it's already starting to bleed a little bit. Totally fine. I also don't want this to look like a rainbow, which it's starting to look like a rainbow to me, but I don't want it to be. So I'm gonna have to blend this up a little bit more. So I pulled some houses that I wanted to just see how it would look first. Actually, I think I want that one there. And then I went ahead and I trimmed them so they match the angle of the hill. And then I think I want one down here, but I'm not 100% sure yet on this one. I'm going to add in some flowers here too. But I'm going to go ahead and deepen up some of these trees. Okay, so I went ahead and I glued down all the flowers and the leaves, and I did a couple little bushes around some of the trees. I added a little bit more detail onto the house with the windows and the shutters. I used my Micron archival ink pen, and I used a size 03 for that. And then I also went ahead and I used my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and I added some little fences on the hills here, with just the smallest brush that I had. So I did a little bit more detail, and I think that's about it. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to live with it for a couple days and see if I want to add anything else, but I think I like it just like that. And I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and you can also make a comment in the comment section and let me know if you want more videos like this one, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. Have a great day.